I know it's just the sprint, but that might have been the race of the year. It was a chaotic but fun race. No damage, no crashing that had to be to make it exciting, but there are definitely some people that would be wearing this hat after that race. That don't bother me, I'm crabby. Let's start off. Let's talk about the big talking point. The Red Bull drivers almost crashed each other a couple of times. Now, they started 1-2 here in the sprint after qualifying 1-2 in the sprint qualifying this morning. And Perez got a better start than Verstappen. Verstappen almost forced him into the inside wall. I mean, like, really went down there to try to cover him off. But it was Perez into turn one in the lead and then out of turn one into the lead. But Verstappen got a better exit. Verstappen went on to the inside of what's turn two. Turn two's like, it's not really a turn. It's like a curve. Like, you're still flooring it through there. So it's not really a turn, but it's counted as a turn. So through turn two, Verstappen has a run. And Perez just straight up forces him onto the grass. Verstappen has to lift. And Perez is into the lead. Then into turn three, Perez, I think he said in his post-race interview, he was kind of letting him back by because he felt he had done him a little bit dirty there. And then Verstappen sends it down the inside, forces Perez wide, and then it's like, okay, what's going on? And then they go into turn four again, side by side. Verstappen forces him wide again. It's like, oh my God, like they're going to wreck each other. Like someone non-Red Bull is going to win this race. And then Verstappen won by like 20 seconds and Perez finished second. But after the race, they confronted each other, not in an aggressive way, but in a, hey, man, what happened out there? And they talked it over. It never seemed hostile. It never seemed aggressive. It just seemed like two teammates talking out like, hey, what happened there? Oh, no, sorry, I forced you into the grass. Oh, well, in that case, sorry, I forced you wide in turns 3 and 4. And after the race, they talked about it. Perez said that in the post-race interview that he said that with the low visibility due to the water, due to the rain happening and it being wet, he couldn't really see Verstappen right there behind him, so that's why he forced him on the grass. That's why he felt bad and tried to let him by. And Verstappen didn't seem like super angry, but he seemed a little bit upset, basically saying like that can't happen again, that it was a bit too aggressive in a sense, and that they're still fighting for a championship in a sense, even though they kind of already won it. But yeah, it seemed like Verstappen was a little bit more upset, but at the same time, he wasn't like pissed off or anything. It's just like man, I hate that happened. I hate that we had to be that close to wrecking, but I think they'll be over it. They'll be fine. I think the incident in Brazil last year was a bigger deal. This one they'll be over with by tomorrow. They'll forget about it by tomorrow. So, yeah, I don't think this is really deep in terms of like, oh, it's going to be a long-term rivalry. They're never going to race each other clean again. I think this is a one-time thing. I think with the low visibility, Perez forcing Verstappen into the grass and then trying to let him by, Verstappen kind of almost sending a message in a sense in turn 3 and turn 4. I think it's over. I think they'll have a debrief about it. Maybe some insults will get thrown at each other, but other than that, I think it's over. But still made it very interesting up front. Nico Hülkenberg got into second for a bit. And outside of that Red Bull almost clash 3 or 4 times, it was a thrilling race. Like, there was action every single second of this race. You know, even during some of the best races that we see, there's a dull moment. You know, there's a lap where nothing is happening. It's just like, okay, you just kind of got to kill time here if you're the commentators. You know, just kill time. There was no time to kill in this race. There was always something on. With the last 10 laps, it was people pitting, going from intermediates to slick tires and trying to make up track position that way. And then you had just battles throughout the field. As I said, Hülkenberg was holding on to second there for a bit, then got passed by Perez and Sainz. You had the Aston Martin drivers fighting each other for 4th and 5th there at the end. You had a huge battle with Albon, Ocon, Leclerc, Norris, and then Russell got in that fight for a bit. There was always something going on. This track has been great for racing. I mean, last year we saw a 5-car battle for position, which was incredible. And that's what this new car is about. The new car, people have been complaining, oh, only one team wins. And yeah, that's true. But every other battle has been incredible. Just look at the standings outside of Red Bull. Aston Martin, Ferrari, Mercedes fighting for second. Everyone else consistently battling for the points, except for maybe Alfa Romeo, not as much. But, you know, they've scored a couple of points this year. But the point being, everyone has scored points this year in terms of the teams. And it is made for some great racing, and we saw that on display today. Great racing, great fun. I hope we get more of it in the Grand Prix tomorrow, and if it's wet again tomorrow, and turns it to dry conditions, it could make the race much more intriguing. Max Verstappen held on those intermediate tires to win the F1 sprint. No surprise there. With about 5 to go, he had a 20-second lead. There was no point of pitting for the slick tires. It would have been pointless to give up those points. He extends his championship lead again. Sergio Perez finishes second. Much needed result. As I said yesterday, he's had a very rough season, or kind of last few races so far. Such a strong start, getting 2 wins in the first 4 races. But the last 4 races has failed to make Q3. But here in the sprint, finishes second after starting second. Carlos Sainz finishes third for Ferrari. Good points for Ferrari and Sainz. Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, 4th and 5th. That is huge for them as they do a little bit of a dent onto that second place that Mercedes is currently holding. They gain 8 points on Mercedes after this sprint race. But they got a lot of work to do still tomorrow in the main race if they want to overtake them for second, and it is still early in the season. 6th place, Nico Hülkenberg, great race for him. He picks up a couple of points for Haas. As I said, he was up there in second for a bit, even kind of contending for the lead there for a second, but still, really good result for him to get some points out of that. 7th place, Esteban Ocon, good points for him. And then George Russell gets the final point in the sprint. Tomorrow we got the main event, the Grand Prix, the Austrian Grand Prix. It'll be a fun one if it's anything like this. I really enjoyed today's race, whether it was Verstappen and Perez and their controversy, whether it was the great racing throughout the field for the points, or whether it was the tire strategy after the weather kind of went away and the track dried out a bit. But very fun sprint race. Can't wait to see what the main event holds tomorrow. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Here at about, let's see here, 3 hours, I will be doing a live stream for the NASCAR Chicago Street Race. We will be watching qualifying, and we'll have a good time. It's the first time NASCAR's ever been at this track. I'm looking forward to it, so let me know what your thoughts were on the Austrian sprint race, and I will see you guys for the Chicago Street Race live stream.